Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In previous session we had seen how to do the paging in GridView, and today's session we are going to discuss about sorting. Whenever user clicks on this column, we have to sort the data. Suppose if user clicks on salary, we have to sort the data based on salary. Okay. First we'll see the demo of this example. This is the final output of this session. So we are going to create one HTML table. We will give one header here, and we created one grid view. In that we are binding the data, and we implemented sorting option here. Whenever user clicks on this column, so we have to sort the data. Click on designation, so it's sorting based on designation. Okay, like this we have to sort. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel to get the latest updates. For this example, I used Microsoft Visual Studio, and we are going to use ASP.NET and C#, and we are using Microsoft SQL Server for database. So these are all the implementation steps we have to follow to get the output as we expected. First we have to create a web project, and we have to create one web form, and we have to design the template as per our requirement. Then we have to create a connection string in web.config. We will read the connection string from our web.config, and we will create a stored procedure to get the employee data from the database, and we will create a class file to store business logics, and we will read the data from business logic only. Then we have to create a function to bind the data to GridView, and finally we will implement the sorting event, and we will create a function to store sort direction values. Okay, so we will implement one by one. Please watch the video till the end for better understanding. We'll switch to Visual Studio and we'll implement these steps one by one. I am using Visual Studio 2013 for this example. For creating new web project, we have to click on File, New, click on Project. So under Visual C#, click on Web and select the latest .NET framework and click on Web Application. Here we have to provide the project name. I am giving as sorting. Click on OK. Then select the empty template. Click on OK. So our project has been created here. Next we have to create one web form, and we have to design the template. For that, right click on the project, click on add new item. We need one new web form here. Here we have to provide the name for our web form. I am giving as sorting. Click on add. So here we can provide the page title, sorting in GridView. Then we have to design our template. I am creating one HTML table here, and I will align the table in center. Here we need one row for header, then grid view, then finally message. So we are taking two rows, and each row contains one column. Here I am providing table header, sorting in grid view, and I am giving some styles here. I am giving font size, I am making as extra large. Then background color I am providing yellow. Then font weight I am giving as bold. Then here next row I need one grid view. Here we have to provide the ID, employee data, run at server. Here we need some columns. I am taking ASP bound field here to bind the data. Header text I am giving, I need serial number here, so data field name we have to provide. Our data field name should match with data which we are getting from the database. And item style, horizontally I want to set it as center for this column, and I am taking few more columns here to display other columns. Here I am going to display name, and I will make it as left align, and the designation I want designation also I am making left alignment. Then we need salary here, I am aligning right. Then I have state column, then finally country, so I am aligning left. This header text we can provide anything, there is no restriction, but data field value should match with our table value. I have one table called employee master. These columns we are going to bind the data to our grid view. Okay, so whenever we are binding, this column name should match with this data field value. Even while creating stored procedure also we have to maintain these names here. If you are giving any name other than this, so you have to change data here. So our grid view is ready. Then final row we have to display the one label, the LBL message. Font I want to make it as bold, and fore color I want to display in green. Okay. Click on design, check the template, we will make it as center this text, and we will format the grid view. Click on auto format, we will make it as autumn here, apply. Okay, so here we don't want these auto generated columns. For that we have to disable auto generated columns. Here we have to make it as false, then it will remove the auto generated columns. Okay, our grid view is ready here. Next we have to create a connection string in web.config. We are going to read the connection string from web.config. For that we have to create connection string here. Connection strings, we have to provide the name. I am giving as my connection string. Then we have to provide the connection string. First you have to provide the data source. Here I am going to use Windows authentication to connect database, that's why I am giving my PC name here. Then we have to provide the database name. Database we are going to use demo, this is the database name, so that's why I am giving as demo. Whenever you are using Windows authentication, you have to provide the integrated security true. So our connection string is ready. So then we have to create a stored procedure to get the employee data. For that, switch to SQL Server. I am going to use SQL Server 2012, and I am using Windows authentication here. If you want to use SQL Server authentication, you can use it by providing login ID and password. So for this example, I am using Windows authentication. Click on connect. Expand the databases. I am going to use demo database. Here I have the table called employee master. We are going to use this data only. So we need name, designation, salary, state and country along with the row number. We need serial number. Okay. We will create one stored procedure. Click on database, click on new query, create procedure. I'm going to create one user defined stored procedure. Get employees begin, and here we need these columns. Copy the select query. You can type it manually also, there is no issues. We need name, designation, salary, state, country, department ID is not required here. Execute the query, it's getting the data, but we need row number. For that we have the inbuilt function row number over order by name. I want to get the row number here. Here we provided the column name, so this should match with the data. Here we provided column name, row number, so I'm giving same name here, otherwise it will throw the error. Now execute the query. It's executing and we got the row number, and initially I want to make the data order by name. Now click on execute. Our stored procedure is created. You can check it here. Expand the programmability, stored procedures, refresh here. So our stored procedure is created. Select the stored procedure name, click on execute. We are getting the data as we expected. Now we have to create a class file to store our business logics. Okay, for that switch to Visual Studio. Right click on the project, click on add class. I'm giving name as BLL sorting. Click on add. Our class is created here. We need some namespaces here. System.data we required. System.data.SQL client also required. Finally we need system.configuration. Here we need SQL connection. Creating connection. Then SQL command required. I'm creating one object for SQL command also. Then we need SQL data adapter. Then we need one data table to store the employee data. Initially it will be null. Then we have to read the connection string from web.config. For that configuration manager dot connection strings. Here we have to provide our connection string name. We are going to read the connection string name from web.config. We have to make it convert to toStrings. Okay, here we are going to read the connection string from our web.config. In web.config we configure the database details. Now we have to create one function to get the data from database. Okay, for that oblique, it will return the data table get employee data from the database. Okay, first we have to establish a connection between our web application and database. For that I am initializing connection here, and we will get the connection string from this connection string. Okay, now we establish the connection. Then we have to provide the command here. Create a command first. Then we have to provide command type, what type of command we are going to pass. Stored procedure we are passing. Then we have to provide the command text, that is our stored procedure name. So we will copy this stored procedure name. paste it here. Then SQL data adapter, so we have to pass our command here. Then finally our data table we have to initialize here and fill the data adapter with our data table. So finally you have to return the data table. Okay, now we have to create a function to bind the data to GridView. For that, go to your ASPX page, right click here, click on view code. Here we have to create a function to bind the data to GridView. Here I am creating one data table to store the employee data. To read the employee data, we have to initialize our business logics, that is obj. I am creating here one object, and now we initialized our business logics. Now we can read the employee data from our business logics dot get employee data. So we will get the employee data. Suppose if there is any records available in the data table, that is count is greater than 0, then I want to bind the data to GridView. That is our GridView name is employee data dot data source. We have to provide our data source is this data table, and we have to bind the data now. Suppose there is no data in the table, that time else if there is no data, then we have to display the label message no data found. And if there is any error in this function, we have to display the message to user. For that, select the code, right click, surround with try. So we have to keep the entire code in try catch block, so that if there is any error, it will display the information to user. Text will be x.message, and I want to change the fore color to red. For that, system.drawing.color.red. Okay, bind the data. Whenever page loads, that time I will bind the data to GridView. Bind employee data. We have not yet implemented the sort option. First we will bind the data and we will see how it will bind. Then we will implement the sorting option. Build the application by pressing Ctrl+Shift+B. Then run the application. There is no error. There is error in the spelling database. We will fix that one. Click on web.config. This is database. Okay. Run the application now by pressing Ctrl+F5. So data is binding as we expected. Only thing is there is no sorting option. We can't sort this data. So it's not in the order also. So for this we have to implement the sorting option. For that, go to your ASPX page. Here we have to enable one option called allow sorting. Make it as true, and on sorting event we have to enable on sorting, create a event. So I want to rename with same name so that it will be easy for identification. So here also we are renaming. Okay, so these two things we have to do in GridView. We have to enable the allow sorting option, and we have to create one event called on sorting. Here we have to create one function to store sort direction. For that, I am creating one private function which will return the string, that is sort direction. I'm creating one view state here to store the sort direction. I'm giving name as sort direction only. And if it is not null, then I want to return this value. Else, if it is null, then by default I will assign ascending order. Okay. So I have to set the value here. Now based on sort direction, we have to bind the data to GridView. Here we have to provide one parameter called sort expression. By default it will be null. Whenever there is a data in the data table, then we have to check the sort expression. If it is not equal to null, then I have to bind the data with order. Here I am converting data table to data view for sorting purpose. Data view. I am converting employee data as data view. Then we will get the sort direction here. Suppose if it is ascending means, then we have to make it as descending, because existing sort type is ascending means, then we have to make it as descending, else we have to make it ascending. Okay, now we will get the sort direction here. If suppose if it is initially sort direction is ascending means, then we have to make it as descending order. If it is past sort direction is descending means, then we have to make it as ascending. Now we have to make it sort in data view. Sort expression dot sort expression. We have to get the sort expression here, and we have to pass sort direction also. Okay, now we have to bind the data with data view. So this is sorted data we are saving in the data view, and we are providing data source as data view. Then suppose if sort expression is not available, then data table will be the data source, and finally we have to bind the data to GridView here. Okay. And here we have to provide the sort expression to bind the employee data dot sort expression. Okay. Now build the application. Here it's not required. Build the application, so there is no error. Run the application by pressing Ctrl F5. Here sorting still it's not enabled. Here we missed to enable sort expression for each column. What are all the columns we need sort expression, we have to enable, and we have to provide the data field value here. So this is what we missed in the design part. So I'm giving here sort expression we missed. Okay, I'm providing sorting for all the columns. Here I'm copying the values. So now we enabled sorting for all the columns. It is showing as we expected. Now run the application. So now it's binding and the sorting also enabled now. Click on name column. So it's sorting by descending. Again, if you click on name, it will sort ascending order. So like this, you can check it for all the columns. So it's working fine as we expected. That's it for today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.